Hi everyone, welcome back to PrettyWell. Dr. Angela here with you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Patty.
So around the holidays, lots of us have lots of extra sugar coming in, and that can lead to some unwanted symptoms. So we thought we'd make you a little video to help ease the symptoms, talk about the big picture of it, but help you have some immediate help with some of the symptoms that can come on.
And particularly in relation to Candida in this video. So we're going to talk about if you're upping, your alcohol, those cookies, chocolates, desserts, even too many carbohydrates that aren't actually sweet tasting.
Pasta
so just
bread.
Any kind of sugar in your system. If you are prone, if you have a tendency, if you have a little bit of an imbalance, you can increase your Candida or yeast or fungal overgrowth. And so we wanted to go over some symptoms that you may experience.
Yeah, and just leading up into that, just to say that it's actually normal to have Candida and yeast in our system. It's always there, but sometimes due to certain conditions, we can have overgrowth, and so that leads to these symptoms.
So yeast is known as an opportunistic organism. So think about like opportunistic people. Anytime there's a little chance that they can get in there, they're gonna use that opportunity to get ahead or for their benefit. So yeast is the same. There's a bunch of yeast all throughout our microbiome, in our gut, in our vaginal canals, in our digestive tract, in our mucous membranes, everywhere.
Yes.
And we live all synergistically. But yeast is very opportunistic. So if we give it a little bit extra space or a little bit of extra food, then it's going to flourish and grow.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
It thrives.
All we want to do is keep things in balance. But if you are prone to Candida overgrowth in many, many different forms, then having that extra sugar, giving it that space and food is going to make it thrive.
Yeah. So we can have all kinds of symptoms. Very commonly, we start to have itchiness, so itchy mucous membrane. So the vagina is a place that gets itchy, the anus gets itchy. Sometimes if we've got a big immune compromised issues going on, we can see it more in the mouth too. We can see things topically on skin.
I've definitely seen patients with either an increase in their acne or acne specifically due to Candida, sort of triggering that, as well as bacne. So I have patients who don't get any acne on their face, but when they've been doing too many refined carbohydrates, too much sugar, too much alcohol, they will start to get their bacne flare up. And sometimes yes and sometimes no, but a lot of these patients will experience a little bit of itchiness with that acne. So it'll look like acne, but it'll also be a little bit itchy.
Yeah.
So that can be triggered by sugar leading to more Candida on basically our microbiome on our skin.
Yeah. There's another video that we have up that I did on dandruff, and so also known as seborrheic dermatitis, the flakiness around the scalp. Some people get it around the mouth or nose, so that has a fungal kind of Candida component as well in there, and so that can also have a little bit of a flare-up as well. So
one more, a big one. A lot of people, it's not a vaginal yeast infection, it's not acne, it's not dandruff, but it's digestive. So if you have a lot of bloating, if you have a lot of distension, abdominal discomfort, that can definitely be from Candida overgrowth, from feeding the bugs a little too much.
Yeah, so here's some things we can do to curb that a bit if things are going crazy. First and foremost, really working on upping our good bacteria. So we can choose fermented foods that have good bacteria, things like sauerkraut and kimchi.
Natto, miso, anything fermented that I always joke that I always say that I think most cultures have something fermented in their, what's the word I'm looking for? Their, cultural diet. So if you look at all different types of foods, indigenous diets. I was going to say that's what I was looking for. That most cultures will have something fermented, and
there's yogurts of all different kinds, and so we have dairy yogurts. We also have like coconut yogurts, all of these different types of fermented foods.
Yeah, so there's coconut kefirs, there's yogurt kefir, so all sorts of fermented foods, and it's important to do it consistently. We have a tendency in American culture, anyways, to I had sauerkraut, but we don't eat it every day. If you go to Korea, for instance, they're eating kimchi every single day, if not every single meal. So they're not necessarily popping a probiotic pill, but you're having these cultured foods as a condiment or as a side dish with every meal.
Yep, inoculating your whole GI every single time.
And just a second ago I mentioned that Candida is opportunistic. So part of flooding your system with good bacteria is that it takes up the space that yeast would want to overpower. Yes. So it's sort of just crowding them out.
And they're struggling for that same resource. So like all the food, they're fighting for it. And so yeah, absolutely.
It's like LA or New York or San Francisco real estate. There's only so much to go around. So there's a little bit of a struggle of like, who's going to occupy this beautiful apartment space known as your gut, or your vagina, or your
anus, whatever,
hair, or whatever it may be. So you want to crowd it out with all the good bacteria. So definitely what Dr. Angela said, fermented foods, but a little bit more consistently if you can.
And if you're not eating fermented foods, being a little bit more mindful to take a probiotic supplement daily for sure during times when you're having lots of extra sugar. So those are all the good bacteria. And then we can also think about, things that take down the Candida, the opportunistic growth. And so I like to reach for caprylic acid, which is a component of coconut oil. If you don't have it, you can also take a spoonful of coconut oil in your shake. You can put it in a hot beverage. That's a really great antifungal. There's another company on the market, Monolaurin, that's got very antifungal components. So that's a really good one for keeping Candida overgrowth down.
And if you do it I think sometimes doing the caprylic acid or the Monolaurin, I have found is a little bit more of a therapeutic dose, but I was just thinking that if you take coconut oil, not only is it going to have the caprylic acid and monolaurin in there, and the lauric acid, but it's also going to help balance your insulin and your blood sugar a little bit because of that added fat.
Great
and
point.
will then sort of have this effect of curbing some of those sugar cravings, so naturally not making you want to eat so much sugar or so many cookies, or not that those are horrible, definitely during the holidays we enjoy and just be mindful, but if you're overdoing it and you're having these health issues,
the consequences, the cleanup, this can help.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out, because this is a little bit of a sidebar, but there's so much talk of like everything in moderation, or be healthy, or don't have this or have this. I really want to emphasize that everybody is different. I tell my patients a lot, what I tell a diabetic patient, what they can eat and consume in terms of carbohydrates and sugar, is different from what I tell a patient who's just trying to be a little bit more mindful and preventative. Like, these are two completely different constitutions and completely different scenarios. And so it's not like a huge sweeping
this is the
yes
rule for
no.
everybody.
Yeah, so just be aware of that we're trying to give some guidelines here, but it's not the same thing for everyone.
Yeah. So
my running joke in my office is that like a blueberry for one diabetic patient could be, like really harmful if their insulin mechanism is really out of balance, whereas a blueberry for another person could be a great form of antioxidants and healthy sugars and fiber. So it's very, very individual in that sense. So take this, with the understanding that we're talking about being in touch with your individual health picture.
Yeah, and so even with these tools, these are all going to be great antifungals that we're talking about, things that work really well for Candida in general, but you'll start to see as you play with different techniques, this really works for me, this does not work for me, and so go with what your body tells you. The next one I was going to share is oregano oil. Oregano oil is a great antifungal, but it's really hot, and so for some people, you take it and your mucous membranes are like, wow, like that's just too much. So
yeah. I love oregano oil, caprylic acid. I don't use a ton of personally, or even, it's not my go-to for patients. So again, very individual. In addition to oregano oil, thyme oil, if you're going to do an internal essential oil or oil, is also very antimicrobial, antifungal, good for Candida. So those are two that you may consider. And then I also love the actual herb Oregon grape.
Yeah, it's a great one.
That's one of my favorites, but also the component berberis or berberine. So you might find just straight up berberine, and that's composed of herbs from that family. So things like golden seal, barberry, Oregon grape, these are all going to be in that berberine family.
And we'll put these in the description box as usual, so you can find them easily.
And we'll put a couple of our our favorite combination formulas as well.
Make life easy.
Yeah, definitely. So always check the description box down below because we put added information. So yeah, that family of herbs has this component that is very antifungal and antimicrobial. So that's one of my favorites as well. Am I missing anything?
No, I think that was great.
So one thing Dr. Angela and I want to emphasize also is that the holidays are tough. We've got, and just this time of year and the beginning of the year, don't try to be perfect. I just did a video about kind of paring down your treatment plan and what to really focus on. But, these anti-Candida herbs and recommendations are just to help with the holiday times.
Survival.
And just kind of keeping that load down a little bit. This isn't treating the cause.
Yeah.
This isn't the end all be all. You will definitely want to take it a step further in terms of addressing, well, where is this coming from? Why do I have more of a Candida overgrowth? My sister over here is eating 10 cookies and she's fine. I ate 1 cookie and I've got Candida. So addressing that, in a couple steps down and in a little bit of a deeper, more comprehensive way is going to be important. But these few herbs that are our favorites are really going to help just to keep the load down.
Yeah.
And keep the growth from getting out of control.
Explosion.
Yeah.
Itchy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in the new year, when you've gotten through the holidays, visiting your doc, doing some blood tests, doing some more workup to figure out is thyroid on par, is the immune system working well, just checking out the basic things to make sure there's nothing that needs to be supported more deeply. But these are definitely some great ways to get through the holidays less symptomatic if it's an issue.
If Candida is an issue for you. I did forget one thing. I knew.
Did?
Garlic.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that I...
I don't like garlic, so I'm like, nope, you didn't forget it.
Yeah, so garlic in capsule form, garlic it does need to be raw if you're going to be eating it. Cooking the garlic does take away some of those properties that are really antifungal, but capsules are great, and again, not for everyone. And if you've got SIBO, although it is a treatment for SIBO, it can be a little bit too exacerbating, so there can be some side effects.
Burping or things like that can start to happen.
Definitely.
But it's a great antifungal. Really works well.
So that's another one. So just to recap, we've got caprylic acid, coconut oil, monolaurin, thyme, oil of oregano, something in the berberine family, Oregon grape, golden seal, or berberine sort of therapeutic complex, and then garlic. So those are great things to use to help keep that Candida growth down. Of course, reducing your sugar load is going to be number one. But if that's, that's
but if you've eaten the 10 candy bars,
if you've already eaten the cookies,
oh no.
This is going to help. And now you're experiencing symptoms, this is going to help. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Definitely share with anyone you think might be interested. Feel free to leave a comment or a question down below.
Subscribe if you're not with us regularly, so you'll get notified every time new content comes up.
Ring that, you have to hit that little bell, and then you'll get a notification that says we have a new video, and we usually have one up every week. And thank you so much. And we will see you back here very, very soon.
Thank you for being with us. Happy holidays, everyone, and we'll see you in the new year.